Welcome. This is Kirsten Hodgins, and this is the meditation for beginners. And here is everything that you need to know. I'm going to share my screen with you, and I have a PowerPoint presentation. And as you can see, we will begin with, well, who am I? I'm Kirsten. I came on to the path of meditation because many years ago, I was meeting people, 2007, I was meeting people who were experiencing internal shifts, learning, they were just blossoming. They were going from victim to victor. I just began to borrow their faith because they were doing meditation and life just seemed to get a little bit richer. They were living with more peace, ease, and joy. And I wanted some of that. So what I was doing was years of energy healing modalities. I was, into health and well-being. I was eating green salads and smoothies, and I was taking good care of my physical body. But I didn't know what it took to really be mind-body connected. I thought that, I was eating well and I was taking spiritual courses and I was attending courses and conferences with really enlightened spiritual leaders and teachers. And I was reading the books, but I wasn't cultivating an internal connection with my internal being. And, I'm also a psychic medium, but that was fleeting. My ability to really, it was sporadic. I would be an empath. I had no control over my boundaries and I could feel people, but I had no idea how to control that. I was having vivid dreams and I was able to have sporadic, spontaneous, intuitive hits, but I wasn't able to wield it at my beckoning. And what I learned is we are all profoundly capable of awakening and being conscious and perceiving life in many forms. And one of which I was able to perceive divine as angels, and I was able to communicate with deceased loved ones, but that didn't happen until I learned how to meditate. How I was able to get clear and really navigate and cultivate an understanding through my senses, a whole new language that I was sweeping under the carpet and ignoring. Feeling, I didn't want to feel. Feeling meant I had to go into unwanted emotions or take accountability, and I wasn't ready. I was still a victim. And when I began to learn how to meditate, we're going to talk about, first of all, this is the agenda, the benefits, the mind and body overall, the inner struggle, which is why people throw in the towel, give up, and find that meditation is difficult, but it really isn't. What's difficult is our ego's mind around it. It's our thoughts and the way we're thinking around it. So we're going to get rid of those myths today. And also we're going to also talk about the environment, how to set that environment up, mindfulness challenge for the next 7 days, and also lead you through experiencing it as well, because this isn't me just speaking wisdom. This is you joining, jumping on, and allowing yourself to be guided, to be able to open up your mind and your heart to experience for yourself what it means to shift into this place of ability to feel into, to see into your body and your mind and your emotions. Because really meditation is to become mindful. It's to be able to see into where you are in the present moment and to shed away and to cut away the illusory thought patterns and beliefs that block you from becoming peaceful and in a state of anchored, a pillar of anchored being in your own essence, so you're unwavering regardless of the environment around you. And that's really tough, to be calm and to be centered when the external environment, when we're so used to giving into the circumstances and to the events that are going on. So this week, we're going to begin each day by delving in and committing to using our mind as a master. It's the most powerful ability that we have in our life. It's our mind, and we're going to really use it to be the master of our life. So let's continue. Module 1. So let's talk about the benefits, the mind, body, and overall. So one of the most amazing things that I have discovered and that I've been researching on is the parasympathetic ability to system to be able to go into alignment. It's when our nervous system, it is so used to coping strategies, such as we reach for coffee in the mornings, external sources to wake us up, or like a sleeping pill or a glass of wine to relax us and to calm our mind body. The parasympathetic is alignment with mind body, where it has a natural innate ability to regulate itself. But if we are attached and addicted to things outside of ourselves, we're going to struggle with our body's own innate ability to regulate. So we want to be able to become aware that also the benefits is that when we do reach in mind and body connection to the parasympathetic state, we become rest and digest and increase our immunity. This is where our ability to tap in to our innate healing is. It's where we are able to have that neurological, our brain begins to communicate with our biology, our chemical, our organs, our blood circulation, everything. Our heart just becomes more rhythmatic because we really are putting our mind back into our heart, because we're so used to reacting. Our energy and focus for the most time is spent outside of ourselves, where we're actually filling ourselves with the responsibilities and the duties that are placed on us from others. So we want to be able to bring ourselves into our inner being, where this state can be experienced, mind, heart cohesion. We get to be able to understand how we're feeling and not the needs of the external environment. We get to actually start to acknowledge those thinking states. We're going to talk about how our thoughts are going to be like energy, thoughts that get stuck in our body that creates a dis-ease, chronic headaches, ailments, and things like that. But just as a disclaimer, I recommend that you see a physician, that you go and work with health and therapy for any matter that you're going through. Meditation is a complementary tool, but it also could be life transformational. I have myself and other people have used it to manage with pain, to overcome chronic issues, and to really tap into the emotional guidance system to unveil patterns that keep you stuck. And we'll in the next slides, we'll talk about how thought repetition could create dis-ease in our body. So we want to be able to break through those cycles. So it also increases our blood, it increases our circulation, which is so healthy, because as we breathe in and that oxygen penetrates deep into our essence, into our cells, we begin to lower our blood pressure and we balance our left and right brain. We have less anxiety and we sleep better. But also, you're going to recognize that when you're in meditation, you're going to feel hot and cold temperatures because of the regulations that are happening. You're going to feel where heat's ramping up. You're going to feel where the body is detoxing and cleansing because our circular system is ramped up. I often have literal tears pouring down my eyes when I'm meditating. It's a way to cleanse my system. I have tissues nearby. I have my respiratory system. I often cough or I have a tissue nearby. So it's amazing how much healing can happen in the time you sit still. And it's also because of the environment, the dust that gets in, perhaps maybe even the chemical that of unprocessed tears, I've been even told. So there's so many wonderful things that happen, including our hands and feet and limbs can actually start to receive more blood flow and we get warm. So people often say that they have a shawl next to them or a blanket to keep warm. And we're going to go in that when we talk about the environment and the comforts. So overall, it transforms your personality. And why would meditation be so powerful to transform our personality? It's because the more we hang out with ourselves, with our inner being, the more that we get to know ourselves and the more that we get to really discern the difference between fear, ego, and truth. And the more we get to choose those states and operate from that place. So it is really personality transformation. Because if you're somebody who used to have a knee-jerk reaction and feel guilt, and you had that archetype of being a people pleaser, and the more you spend time meditating, you realize that that's not your job and that's not your role, and you learn how to speak up because you're getting confident in who you are, it just transforms your personality. So there's many beautiful examples as to how meditation can help you to reestablish who you truly are, because it moves you out of a restriction of old labels based on past, because we get to sit with our truth. We get to sit in our inner being and really have a proper perspective. The other thing is it's innate healing. It helps us to tune in and to regulate. When we go into that calmness and stillness, we allow that ability for our bodies to produce those chemicals and those antigens and proteins and things that help to create and to replenish and reproduce healthy cells for a body environment that produces good cells and good health. But we're also going to take a look at the weeks to come, how our mind can also plant a healthy seed of wealth and health, or it could take away and really be toxic to our well-being. So we're going to become aware this week. We're going to open up our mind and our senses to become mindful of where we're hanging out. And that's the first step. We're going to get to that. So we're also going to be able in the weeks to come learn how to begin tapping in and tuning into our emotional essence and to self-regulate. And we often go through life afraid to feel. We actually judge feelings as being unwanted, good or bad. Next week, we're going to really unveil those myths and allow ourselves to just delve in fearlessly to those energies. It's just information. We're also going to open up in the next week, the third week, to having mental clarity. We're going to manage in stress. We're going to manage in fear. We're going to be able to become empowered instead of powerless and a victim. And by the end of this program, we're going to have the ability to be adaptable, to be able to be flexible and pliable to life in the circumstances when chaos hits, when there's a crisis, because we're really going to be able to be an anchored pillar in our own being instead of being a loosey-goosey puppet on a string to all of the circumstances that are going on in the environment. That's what we're doing. We're really becoming still and really opening up to where our power is, which is in the present moment and from within, not without. And so we're going to make recognitions on all levels. So the next slide, this is a beautiful example to understand how our body and mind create our reality. So as you can see, we have a lemon, a picture of a lemon, and two cute kids down there with the face expressions that, I don't know if you ever tried doing this, eating a lemon when you were a child and having that experience of that sour, tart, citrus taste, right? So join me, take a moment, just allow yourself to just experience how the body experiences just by having your imagination, just by using thought alone. So close your eyes and just imagine a lemon, a sliced lemon before you on a plate. And I'm passing you this lemon. I want you to take this plate and just allow your senses to smell this lemon. Pick one up with your fingers and feel the skin and just squirt the little juice particles into the air and capture it as you breathe in. You might even get some on your lip and you can taste it. Just put it, the whole lemon, just lick it or put it on your tongue and just allow that experience to shift. I don't know if you're having this sensation, but I'm salivating. My jaw is tightened. The sides of the back of my tongue are experiencing that lemon as if I've actually taken a bite. And this is because your body doesn't know the difference between the past, the present, or the future. So our thoughts is so important. So if you're thinking healthy, well-being thoughts, peace and calm and forgiveness and you're grateful and all those beautiful states, no problem. Then you go on an automatic pilot and you enjoy. But if you're someone who's creating thinking patterns that are not serving you, that are hanging, because every thought will be an emotional response in our body. Just like we had the thought of a lemon and it responded to us, we salivated and we had those real tensions at the back of our tongue and our jaws tighten and we perked up and our chemical reaction was we saliva increased, right? So no differently will a thought produce the same cycle in our body. Can you imagine if that thought of regret, shame, guilt, anything on the lower vibrational scale of emotions that's going to create a dis-ease in your body, an experience of unwellness, of repetitiveness, will begin to have a chronic headache, stress headache, tension in the shoulders and the back, neck issues. It will be a digestive issues when it comes to thinking about the anxiety of the future. We begin to literally, guys, have many health issues and sometimes they become a disease. And what we really want to do in meditation is to really become aware of where we're hanging out. Really choose our thoughts. And if we can become aware of our thinking patterns, then we're able to intersect the thinking and become present in the moment. And we can have that willpower because our mind is the master of our life. And we can choose a better feeling thought. We're not sweeping, we're not ignoring, we're going to acknowledge. So next week, we're going to learn how to process emotions and how to move from something that's literally going on in your life and how to heal those thinking patterns and emotional patterns. But for now, this week and for the next 7 days, all we're asking is that we become aware. Just become aware of your senses, aware of your thinking, aware of your feeling just in your body, palpably, physically. That's all we're going to do for the next 7 days. And we're going to have a mindfulness challenge to help us to practice ourselves into it. Okay. So those are emotional triggers. And it all also, when we have a thought, it triggers an emotion. And like I said, that could be a wonderful, really nice, useful emotion. But for most of us, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And most of those are coming from a subconscious, it's a pattern, old behavior program running on fear and old knee-jerk reactions that aren't serving us. So we're becoming consciously aware through our mindfulness in week 1 so that we can begin to notice where we're hanging out. So the second thing is that we want to be able to know the knee-jerk reactions. So if we can become aware of them, we can rewire neurologically, change the way we react and how we look at things through proper perspective, which is in week 3. So here we go. Module 2, inner struggle. So many of you will probably have had these experiences. I've had all of them, every single one of these. So most people will sit down and they'll say, well, I don't have time. I'm so stressed. I've got too much to do. I've got emotionally charged with life. You know, right now with the things that are going on and we're social distancing and all of these things, people are so much more preoccupied with the life, with the physical material world, and they've lost sight of their internal being. We really want to be able to anchor ourselves in there for proper perspective. So having an emotional charge is our belief system saying that the circumstances, until they are ended or finished, then I will do this. So it's a future date. So you're seeking the best opportunity. It is in this moment. It's in crisis. It's in emotional upset. And most people say, I don't have time. I can't afford to give the time. Well, if that is, you can't afford not to make the time. So what we're doing to our body and our mind and cultivating what we're producing is the results of our mind thinking and our emotions. It's actually creating more and more of the same. So the mind chatter is the second thing. When we are sitting down, and we did make that time to sit, but we can't stop thinking about the things that are going on around us, or our job, or the work that we have to do, or we're anxious about the future. Our mind is just going on and on and on and on. That is absolutely what you want to be an observer of, because meditation, it allows you to simmer that when we give it attention. One of the things that people do is they sit there in meditation, they think they have to have a pure space of quietness, of no thought. You cannot have no thought. Your ego is like your heart. You can't stop your heart from beating. Life itself pours through us. It breathes our lungs. It beats our heart. It grows our hair and our nails. It's an aspect of what is, and it's essential. We need to have that in order to be here in the physical. And so when we say that we are unable to have that peace inside that space, we are some myth. What we want to do is become aware of the inner chatter and begin to give it attention. Just observe. But we don't want to just give our thoughts an attention, because what we're doing is we're going to attach to it and we're going to get lost in the story of it. We're going to spend 5, 20 minutes, an hour of our meditation getting into the analytical thinking and the intellect and the pondering, and we're basically ruminating. Meditation isn't to ruminate, it's just to become aware. So just become aware. In mind chatter, you might even just label it thought, or emotion might come up where you feel like insecure or guilt or something that happened regarding that thought. Just say emotion and go back to the breath. We're going to talk about this in the next slides. There are ways to manage with your mind chatter. It's the first level of awakening. It's being aware, is to notice what you're feeling, what you're thinking. So now the next one on our list is doing versus being. Some people like to have a list of things what to do, instructions. They'd like to sit down and be told that I have to have, instructions on opening up my breath, or how many times should I breathe, or what should I be focused on? What is my mantra? What is my position? So we get carried away with all of the doing when it's just being. So when we're beginning, we're not going to worry about all those beautiful advanced tools. We're just going to begin by noticing what we're experiencing. Hi, Sheba. I'm experiencing my dog barking. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to begin by just being present with our senses. Then in the later weeks, we will add to it. And there's no competition, guys. Meditation is an internal process. There's no measurement or comparison, no right or wrong, or you're not going to have a mark or report from this. What you want to pay attention to is the more you become becoming aware. Your job is literally to just be. There's nothing to do. And it's just to cultivate that place where you spend more time being in the present, less being in your mental mind and worrying about the future. The more you can hang out in the present by literally observing your senses. The more you hang out there, notice your thinking, notice your feeling, notice the breeze through the window or the birds. Just spending more time, 5 seconds, then you increase it like a muscle that you're working on, and you increase it to 20 seconds, and sometimes you just sit there for like a whole 5 minutes. And then some days you do like this whole hour of blissfulness, but then the next day you experience discomfort again because something happened, and you'll struggle. So it's never going to be the same. Much like yoga, much like the other aspects, you can never be in the same perfect state because we have life to live. We are experiencing and evolving and learning. And that is why meditation can never be a conquered, complete perfection, because we are evolving and growing. And if you're having perfect, blissful meditation experiences, then I would have to ask, are you challenging yourself in life? Are you avoiding your emotions? So there would be a questionable, eyebrow raised for me. So discomfort is expected because sometimes we're going to want to have things unveiled, taking accountability. Oh my goodness, I feel guilty and shame. I should have forgiveness. Sometimes it's just realizing that, some repetitive patterns happening in your life and you become aware of it and you're like, oh my goodness, it's epiphanies and insights. So it's never the same. And we want to detach from the expectation of it being blissful. If you're going into meditation, having the expectation to be enlightened and to be open to this divine, pure, channeled of your highest, God's angels, you can experience these things. But when you do so with that expectation, then what you're doing is you're saying that you're bypassing the things that you need to do to cultivate it. So what I mean by that is maybe sitting down and first recognizing that the inner being, the essence of love, of self-love. So if you're expecting to feel more self-love, you have to experience it from within in order to create that aspect in the world. So we have to be able to get uncomfortable, allow our feelings to come up to they can be liberated, and allow those fears to be shed so that we could have that sense of freedom and peace. That's basically a process. And, like I said, if you're opening up to doing meditation with the attachment of having some profound experience of God's voice or being a channeled, and it can be done, but it takes time to cultivate that. And we want to talk about that in another course. So your expectations and your attachments, you want to be able to just allow what needs to come up in alignment with your goal. So if I'm saying I really want support on a decision I'm making, perhaps maybe it's taking on a new job or a new project, and I'm uncertain, and I'm going into a meditation with an intention, because we could do that. We can get really focused, which is we're going to do in week 3. And we're going to open up and we're going to begin to have that. What if I'm attached to the outcome? What if I really need to have this information come through, but instead it was an emotion of fear around getting out there? Maybe that had to be cleared and acknowledged in my thinking mind first before my clarity and creative mindset could actually be a channel to those creative ideas. So when you go in with your expectations in meditation, just know that sometimes be open to your thoughts, be open to your ego, be open to your imagination, because what you need will really come through, even if it's what you don't expect. Okay, another thing is your to-do list is going to come up. Your to-do list is going to come up and it's going to be like, what are you sitting here? You don't have permission. You need to be responsible. You have people and things to take care of. You can't sit here first. So we really have to give our permission to etch time out and to honor ourselves, and to know that in doing so, we are cultivating a healthy well-being and really establishing where the power is, an internal relationship with ourselves. And that is what we want to do. We want to be able to allow that to come up instead of the ego saying what you should be doing. Because notice that's the first thing people experience is when they sit down. They think about all the things they have to do. And another thing is, it's perfect as it is. So if you feel wiggly or uncomfortable one day, and then another day you meditate and you just feel so blissful and you're so grateful, that is what it is. And that is what you are able to get from it. But know that each time that you go into meditation, that you're developing more and more of a connection with your inner being, because we are opening up our senses more and heightened, so that we could really be available to understand where we're thinking, where we're hanging out on our emotions, and how to have right thought and clarity around life. So we bring those states into our life, and we actually are like a light and affect others. We influence people because we're calmer, we react different, we're resolution oriented. We're not falling into fear and stress pattern so much the more we practice. And also time versus quality. So don't pay attention to 5 minutes, or I got to sit for 20, or my goal is to sit for an hour. What I want you to do is get quality, because sometimes all you need is literally 3 breaths to bring you to exactly where you need to be in your mindset and your heart center. Other times, When I worked in the corporate environment where I found it very difficult because of it's a toxic environment, some days I would take on energy and I had client readings. So I'd show up in my office, my treatment room, 1 hour before my client would arrive. Because sometimes I needed a good hour to just calm my body physically. To calm my physical body, calmed my mind. And when I calmed my mind, I was able to open up and be more intuitive. Sometimes I would just hit the ground running and I couldn't wait to see my clients. Other days, I really had to make that space, sometimes 40 minutes of sitting, but then having a 5-second space where I just felt so present and I felt peace. And I allowed that focus to amplify within me. And so we're going to learn how to do that next week. So here we go. We've just listed all the ways in which we would struggle. And so be aware and take note what's not on this list and let me know if you have any additional ones, but these are the common ones. So here we go. Let's set up our environment. So can you imagine having an environment that has candles and nice soft music of like Reiki energy healing, nature sounds playing in the background. And then you have a diffuser with lavender and a nice cozy fireplace. It's just, you're all set up in this most comfortable chair with wraps and blankets and pillows. So it sounds lovely. And honestly, I would love to be there. But our environment can't do the meditation for us. We don't want to let the room and the environment dictate how we're going to feel. However, because we're beginners and we're just setting up, your environment will help you and your ego to become at peace. But we don't want to rely on our room. You know, candles and essential oils and all those things, they may also interfere with our senses from our internal being. So what we want to do is just be where you are. Even if it's just a private room in the corner of your house, or you set up your basement and you make a cozy little space where you can be alone and private, wherever that is. But also, don't worry if you hear noise or the kids in the background or your pets or neighbors. If you're living in a condo or a close environment with other people, we can't control that. What we want to do is be able to be a centered being regardless of the external environment. You know, people who are very affected, their moods are completely reliant on the weather. They wake up in the morning, if it's gray and raining, they immediately choose to be, oh, it's a miserable day, I'm miserable, right? We want to break through the habit of sourcing our emotional states on the external environment. We want to be able to create it and to choose it and to live from it. So that is one thing we want to have. We want to be able to get used to the distractions and the noise. We want to be able to be present in all circumstances. So indoors, try meditating outdoors and really allow yourself to go into chaotic environments and practice noticing your breath and noticing how your shifts are happening. Notice if you're getting a palpation or quickening of your heart, and noticing that you could actually control that by noticing the sensations and breathing. This is going to happen, guys, in this time together. But also the difference between having music versus silent. Sometimes music, it invokes an emotion within us. Sometimes memories will come up. So I don't really enjoy music when I meditate. I really like a quiet, present essence of just being in the present moment with whatever noises are in the natural environment. When I play music, it's when I'm really trying to bring myself, it's more of a struggle. So if I'm struggling, to a degree, I will let the room meditate for me too. Maybe I will put those candles on or grab blankets and play music. But for the most part, I really like to practice that muscle from within. But if it helps you at first to get there, whatever your comforts are, set them up. We go into different chemical and biological shifts during meditation. So blanket and wrap or shawl close by to layer on and off during the comforts are really a good idea. And also using yoga blocks. If you're sitting with your legs crossed, it's a really good idea to prop up your knees underneath with either rolled up towels or yoga blocks, foam blocks or cork blocks. They work perfectly. And you can even sit up on a rolled towel or rolled blanket to really support your hip flexors and your knees. So get comfortable, use these techniques. And if you're not someone who can sit cross-legged in a chair or on the floor in a yoga mat, then you just sit back in a chair. I'm sitting on a chair, feet planted on the ground, and we're going to talk about posture now. So you really want to have your eyes closed. Why? Because if your eyes are open, you're going to have too much stimulation from your eyes, because our eyes will see things and we're going to judge, we're going to see things. If I'm trying to sit in a room and all I can see in the distance is dust, I'm going to go out of my meditation. I'm going to start to think, oh, I'm going to put that on my list of things to do. Or I'm just giving you experiences. Or you might just you stimulate, and you won't be as likely to tune into your inner essence. The amazing things that are going on in your third eye, your ability to see images and memories and thoughts, and your ability to feel your emotions and palpable sensations in meditation. So closing your eyes, it's like in heightening your senses from within. And it blocks off your external distractions. But also, have you ever tried doing activities with your eyes closed? It takes a whole extra level of coordination. I tried to do yoga with my eyes closed, the poses, for an extra added internal mind-body connection. And it was a really good challenge for me. So receiving posture. When I sit down for my meditation, I don't sit all rolled up and with my arms folded. That's closing. That's like a real closed posture. I really want to open up my palms to the ceiling, and I want to lay them upwards like this on my lap, or crossed like this, just in the center of my lap, just whatever's comfortable. My elbows resting at my side, my shoulders down. And I just allow myself to just be present. And sometimes I actually put like a rolled up towel or pillow behind my lower back for support on the lumbar, or I allow my neck to be rested if I'm sitting on the sofa chair downstairs. So it depends. But then you don't want to lie down, because when you're a beginner, your mind will associate the lying position as going to sleep, and you might start snoring and realize you just nodded off. So what you want to do is you want to be able to sit in a chair to be present, because meditation isn't about falling asleep and going unconscious. It's about going and tuning into your inner being, and you're never more awake. You're never more alive and aware. And that is exactly how you're going to set up your meditation practice. And now let's talk about the mindfulness challenge and get right into some of the exercises. So here we go. So here for the next 7 days, I wanted you to do some of these mindfulness practices that we're going to experience right now. This is the technique. So noticing your breath. This is the number one go-to. No matter where you are, if you're in a situation, work, or in a conversation that just didn't go well, or you just feel like you want to react, but it's not going to be serving you or the other person, you just want to notice your breath. Or what if you're in a emotionally overcharged state and you want to bring yourself into a calmer state? You want to choose the breath, because it brings your energy out of your mind, out of your energy heightened senses, and it brings it into your physical body. That is the number one way to be mindful, is to bring awareness to your physical body. It's to be able to either, feel your hands, or, just give yourself a hug, but bring yourself into your physical body. And we're going to talk about hand placements and all of that too. But it's noticing your breath. It's taking a pause. It's literally saying, breathe, just breathe. And what you do is you begin, as you begin to bring in your breath, you begin to become aware physically. And the more that you're able to bring in that breath, you lessen your attention and focus on that thinking thought, or on that heavy judgment, or that feeling that you have overwhelmed. And what you do is you become aware of the sensation, the palpable sensation of your body taking in this beautiful healing energy, this beautiful prana energy of oxygen. Breathing it really in. Now, here's the thing. Notice the three different ways in which that inhale physically penetrates your inner being. Okay, notice on the inhale how it fills up your lower belly, below the belly button. Then it increases your rib cage at the side. It just expands it. And then at the top of the breath, we expand, we open up our chest cavity, and we feel it pushing up through our underarms and out through our shoulders. It feels so full to the top. So taking a few breaths, just notice again on the inhale at the beginning how you fill up your lower belly. And your rib cage expands and your torso, and then it lifts out the fans at the shoulders, the back, the upper back, underneath your underarms. Isn't that beautiful? And so notice that. Notice the way your body is shifting in physical connection with the breath. And now the second stage of the breath, as you begin to do that, you can also use breath and use your mind as a tool by counting. So one of the ways is as you breathe in, breathing in and counting to 4 and then pausing before you exhale for a count of 6. So let's do it together. So let's breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. And release and exhale, count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. Inhale, count of 4. 2, 3, 4. Pause before exhaling. Hold. And now exhale for a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. Do a few on your own to see how beautifully this brings you into the present moment, conscious awareness. And how holding and pausing gives you that space and that limitless expansion feeling in your essence. And exhale, releasing anything that's not serving you. So now let's use the breath again to add the feature of our imagination and our ability. It's really actually happening. Is when we are bringing in the breath, notice how it feels energetically through every cell of your body, entering every pore of your skin, tissue, and every area through your tendons, into your bone, into your essence, into your inner being. Notice that it cleanses and clears away. As we exhale, we release anything not serving us. So let's take a few breaths now, following along with my voice. Allow yourself to take this breath, filling in this beautiful energy, this life source energy of innate healing and wellness. Just bring it in. And now on the exhale, allow whatever is not serving you on an emotional and mental level to be washed away on the exhale. Just releasing it and surrendering it, dissolving and disintegrating into nothing. And each time you breathe in, you fill yourself up with this electrifying vibration of essence, cleansing energy. And as you release it, it washes away any emotions of heaviness or sorrow that you were feeling. Doing a few on your own. Breathing in, breathing out. Noticing how much more peaceful and calmer you feel. Just surrender. Just surrender and allow. Wonderful. So noticing the breath is powerful. And those are the 3 ways in which we can use breath. And there are hundreds, but these are the most common and the most perfect ways to do it discreetly. In the middle of a mall, a chaotic conversation, at work in the middle of the day, you could do this and nobody's going to even know what's happening. You can do it silently. to yourself, if you're private, by the breath out, just letting it out. Or if you can't do that in public, just silently breathe out with a natural breath. Okay? Let's go into the next mindfulness technique that we'll be practicing this week, and it's wiggling of your toes. Just begin to wiggle your toes, noticing in your wherever you're seated. If you're cross-legged, you could still wiggle them. If your feet are flat on the floor, that's perfect. Wiggle your toes and become aware of your toes wiggling. At the same time, become aware of your fingers rubbing. Just feeling the tips of your fingers, feeling them, and just allowing them to just rest, your elbows at your sides and your hands on your thighs. You don't have to hold them up, just be comfortable. Just keep rubbing them, rubbing your fingers and wiggling your toes. And now let's add the breath. Become aware of your inhale and your exhale. Breathing in and exhaling. Breathing in from your nose and out through your mouth. Paying attention at the same time to your toes wiggling, your fingers rubbing, and your breathing in and exhaling. Doing this on your own for a few breaths. This is such a powerful way to shift into a state of peace and calm. Lowers your blood pressure, calms your heart rate, and brings your mind back into your heart. And just notice the wiggling, the shifts that are happening already just from these two techniques. One more breath, wiggling your toes, rubbing your fingers, and breathing. Wonderful. So the next technique is if you are feeling like you just got knee-jerk reaction and you feel guilty you said something, or you feel angry, or you just feel anxious about something, like uncertain about what's to come, or you fall into a fear state. Here are some beautiful techniques to bring yourself into a space of peace and ease and calm. The first thing you do is you place your hand on your heart. And when you place your hand on your heart, you immediately draw your attention into your senses. So physical, remember, physical is the first entry into mindfulness, into consciousness. Noticing your breath, excuse me. I noticed when I put my hand on there, I had energy that wanted to come out. So anyways, we just allow our hand just to be calm, elbow and arm rested at our side. You don't have to hold your arm up, just relaxing the other arm down in a receiving posture if you can. And just become aware of your energy. Feel the heat. Just noticing with your hand if you're feeling hot, or sensations of tingling underneath your hand against just notice your clothes, the feel of the fabric of your top, or maybe your hands placed right on your skin. Noticing the feel of your skin and the heat, the physical sensation. And now become aware of your breath. Notice how it feels to connect. As you breathe in and out, notice that the sensations begin to just calm down. It's like naturally dissolving as you become attuned to it. It just begins to dissolve as you give it attention. And as you do so, you just notice that your heart rhythm and your breathing and your mind is just calm. And just be aware of the sensations. And just do that for a few breaths. And it's okay if you have a thought that came up or an emotion, just notice it. This week, we're only just noticing what we are feeling with our body and feeling in our emotions. And we're thinking with our thoughts and our visions, mental images, what visions and memories are coming up. We're just noticing. Just notice and allow. And notice just how much calmer we feel, because where focus goes, energy flows. So if we try to put our energy on our forehead, our focus on our forehead, you'll immediately begin to connect with your forehead. You'll feel a different sensation. You'll begin to feel a different feeling behind it, like energy, like a temperature or clamminess or heat. Try it on other parts of your body. You can even put both hands at the side of your hips for your root chakra to really ground yourself. When you bring energy there, you begin to fill up your awareness, and your energy flows there to help you to fill up your root chakra, to help you to be grounded in your physical body. So there's beautiful ways in which we could bring our hands. And that's what energy healing is about. It's about really bringing our hands to a chakra and really registering with the information, because it's a thought that got lodged, and this is where it's hanging out, much like when we think about the lemon, how it immediately creates a sensation of a tension, and our chemistry creates saliva, right? It's the same thing that's happened. So what we're doing is we're giving our body an opportunity to become present in the present moment, and we're filling it with a new emotional thought just by simply being present to acknowledge it. In week 3, we're going to really delve into empowering and rewiring. So now the last part of this is to cycle through our senses, what we see, what we hear, what we feel, and what we know. So what we're going to do is go through a guided meditation that will help us to understand this. But before I do the guided meditation, because I want to end with the meditation, I want to challenge you this week, because I want you to be able to choose an activity. Perhaps it's in the shower while you're eating, while you're brushing your teeth or driving, or just being present, sitting in a chair or petting your cat. What I have realized is being porous to life itself, opening your heart up to feel the moment, embracing a hug and feeling love from that hug, really being present and tuned to the peace and calmness that overcomes you when you're walking in nature, or you're petting your dog or cat, or giving your child a hug. Be porous to life. Allow it to extend into your inner being and create a sense of well-being, and hold those states. So when we're meditating in mindfulness, what we're doing is we're checking in with ourselves. When you're in the shower, notice where you are. Notice your sensations of the heat coming down. Notice what your thoughts are, what your feelings are, where you're hanging out and you're thinking. Because we're going to go in and we're going to take it a step further. We're going to learn how to articulate our emotions, and in the next week. But I want you to become aware this week, physically, to open up and to connect with it, because we're learning a new language, how to communicate with our inner being. So allow yourself to become comfortable with feeling and experiencing these things. Mindfulness is a practice that we can't compartmentalize with our life. We can't say, oh, when the weekend comes, I'll put my feet up and practice. Or when I go to yoga, I'll do meditation. We really want to immerse mindfulness into our daily ritual of living life, because it's where we can practice the best in the moment to really be still and to be present. And we want to be able to create that. So every hour on the hour, I have set up, when I began this practice, I set up in my Outlook and on my iPhone Sometimes I put a reminder, and I have this reminder that comes up for me 3 times a day that says breathe. What that reminder does, it's a mindfulness. It says, ooh, where are you hanging out? Check in. Where are you physically? Oh, I just realized I was hanging out in busyness syndrome, which we're going to talk about in week 3, which isn't useful. And it's my thoughts are being lodged in my body, and I've got this chronic state happening. And I've been noticing digestion issues because of my thinking. So we're going to interject that thinking process and rewire the way we operate. So let's put this mindfulness practice this week, guys, and let me know how you're doing. I would love to see how this challenge is unveiling some uncomfortness or some challenges you want to talk about. So here we go. Let's go into our meditation. Our meditation is to rotate through our senses. So here we go. So get comfortable, because we're going to take about 5 minutes, and then we will be finished week 1. So here we go, guys, getting comfortable, opening up to a receiving posture. We first want to get physically connected, really ground ourselves. So bring your awareness to your chair. Allow yourself to just sink into this beautiful space. Sitting in your chair, physically feeling the weight, this comfortable cushion, or the warmth in the environment. Just be present physically. Allow your senses to tune into the environment. Now that you're physically present, we begin to notice our breath. The second stage is to become aware of our internal being. Drawing in a nice full breath in a natural rhythm and exhaling. Doing another breath in and giving it a nice exhale out. And now we're calm mind, calm body, using our ability to hear a heightened state. We can hear all the sounds in our environment. Maybe a person walking up the stairs, or a car that just went by, or the birds out your window. Wonderful. Now allow yourself to smell the environment. Perhaps you're smelling the dinner, remnants of dinner or a meal, the smell of spring around the corner, or maybe fresh cut grass, or maybe that you had a diffuser with some essential oils in the background. Whatever that is, just allow yourself to have a heightened sense of smell. Wonderful. Now move into the taste. Whatever your senses are in this present moment, maybe it's the remnants of dinner or toothpaste, or just a nice fresh breath mint or gum you chewed, whatever. Just allow yourself to experience whatever you taste and smell and hear simultaneously. You've expanded your awareness as you simultaneously become aware of all your senses. Your physical sensations of your clothes on your skin. Maybe there's a heat register in the environment, or a cool breeze on your skin. Now allow us to go internal to our internal being. In doing so, you immediately become aware of your breath, noticing how it fills up your inner torso, your upper chest. And as you exhale, you become more and more relaxed and more aware of your inner being. Just allow yourself to become aware of any tension or sensations in the body, the neck, the shoulders, the back, the knees, wherever. And when you breathe in, allow that energy, that healing, innate healing within you with this beautiful breath of oxygen and prana healing energy to fill up that area where there was tension. And on the exhale, with your intention, release it. Allow it to just be released, dissolved and disintegrated, melting away, relaxing the muscles, relaxing the tension. Do a few more. Notice other sensations where there needs to be peace and calmness. Allow it to be. Using your attentions to make it so. And surrender. Let go. And on you breathe in and you breathe out on the next breath, become aware of just how more expanded and more peaceful and calm you physically feel. That beautiful space, that consciousness that you've become so aware of has become expanded in your environment, in your aura, in your body, in your mind, in your emotions. You are just a beautiful place of peace and oneness within your inner being. And just allow yourself to experience this for the next few moments. Just becoming aware of your breath. If you begin to judge or go into your mind, your thinking, just come back to your breath. And as you come back to your breath on the exhale, return to your senses. What do you see with your mind's eye, with your eyes closed? Do you just see light, of a white light behind your eyelids? Or are you seeing color or shades of black and gray or white? Just allow whatever comes up to be in this moment. Now returning to your breath. On the inhale and then after the exhale, become even more aware of this calm state and become aware simultaneously of all your senses, of what you see, what you hear, what you feel in your body, palpably, externally and internally, what you smell, what you taste. Just notice all your senses simultaneously at once. Don't just focus on one thing, just allow all of them to come to mind as they may naturally. Perfect. Just surrender to this moment. Just allow yourself to be present with what you see, hear, and feel, smell, and taste all at once. And notice your breath as well as you breathe in and you breathe out. Wonderful. So that ends our meditation. Rubbing your feet, rubbing your hands and palms together, bringing yourself into the room, stretching your body posture back into its physical reality, opening your eyes and allowing yourself to just be present in the physical as well, and carrying on this beautiful space of calmness and peace throughout the rest of your evening and day. And all the best on the challenge ahead of you for your mindfulness challenge. Reach out to me if you have any struggles or any challenges that come up, because it is good. It is good that you get these things unveiled so that you can learn how to navigate and strengthen that muscle. Blessings.